was telling my wife that I had to get up here and talk for 5 minutes about myself to a bunch of people I don't really know that well, and I can't think of a single thing to say. She says, well, you've been a student here in the business school for a year now, and I still can't get you to shut up about submarines. So why don't you just talk about submarines? Well, that's easy. You've got 5 minutes, not hours. I said, well, just talk about submarines until you run out of time. So that sounds like a great idea. So the first thing anyone ever wants to know about, when they ask me about being a submariner is how long do you spend underwater? Answer to that is typically not more than a month or two. You can be away from home for 9 months or more for deployment, but that gets broken up by port calls because you eventually run out of food. So you'll typically go do the type of submarine that I've served on is a fast attack submarine. We'll typically go do a mission for a month or two at a time, and then pull into a port somewhere, replenish, repair the 50 things that have broken at the time that you've been out at sea, and then get back out and do it again. The next thing that everyone always asks is, how deep do you go? And my answer to that is a great question. And along with how fast do you go, what weapons do you carry, and what do you really do on your missions, I'd love to answer that in the basement of this building. But for this room, the version is greater than 800 feet, greater than 25 knots, really cool ones, and see to the vital interests of our national security. And the third thing that everyone always asks is, don't you get claustrophobic while you're at sea, cooped up in that tight space with all those dudes? And the answer to that is, not really, because you're just too busy to get claustrophobic. What do you have to do on a submarine? Well, a lot, it turns out. You missed an arm. You're supposed to ring the bells.
Ring one for good speeches.
So the time that you spend on a submarine, the crew is divided into 3 sections, 3 watch sections, 3 shifts. A submariner's day is 18 hours long. Each one of those shifts is 6 hours long. So at any given period of time, 1/3 of the crew is on watch on the submarine. That means you're operating equipment, sitting in front of a panel, running around turning valves, or in the case of officers like myself, standing over the people who are sitting around, or running around turning valves, operating panels, pretending like you know what's going on. Whenever you're not on watch, that 12-hour shift before you start the watch again is the time in which you eat, sleep, shower, and do all the work that you've got to do during the day. It tends to be the case that the work that you've got to do takes a lot longer than a 6-hour shift. So within that additional 6 hours that you can sleep, eat, shower, whatever you got to do, any work that you have to do eats into that time. So if I've got time to worry about being claustrophobic, not seeing the sun, I've got time to sleep, and typically I'll take the sleep. So we make our air, we make our water, we run out of food. We have an effectively infinite power source to make the water and make the air, and a 165 megawatt nuclear reactor that we have back at. I don't glow in the dark, although I've tried. And the power source is run by some of the most competent and effective people that you'll see in the Navy. And that is why I love the job. So people ask me why I talk so much about submarines. It's because it's a fascinating job. I work with the highest quality people in the Navy. And would I recommend it to anyone else? Absolutely not. I recognize that my affinity for the submarine job is much like my affinity for straight gin and late 80s industrial music. I love it, but I recognize that it's because there's something wrong with me, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody else. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know more, talk to me on the side. This concludes my speech.
Wow.